When you're singled out and the red it filters through. I love that song. I think later tonight, excuse me, I'm going to finally put my top 10 albums and top 10 songs down. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that for top 10 albums and top 10 songs, there's a lot of songs that are not in the top 10 albums. And that's because when I did my top 10 albums, I wasn't judging it on like, you know, oh, this album had a really good song on it. I was judging it on how many really good songs are on this album, you know. So, needless to say, though, Steely Dan did make the list, as did Tom Petty. I think some of you might be a little surprised at what did not make the list, but you know. So let's see. Soapy Water, a ton of Critters from Reaper. And what I mean by a ton is like 9 little centipedes or giant centipedes and a bunch of rats, and then some really gigantic rats, and then wolves and dire wolves. I've probably got a bunch of them, but you know, some of these kind of monsters, you really can never have too many of, you know. Oh, where are you driving?
We are. Where are we going?
Over to Kingston.
Over to Kingston.
Oh, why?
Look,
There's a nice classic fucking
we gotta go grocery shopping,
Oh,
and Greg's gotta get his insurance.
yeah, those are both very important things.
Yeah, but I did want to hop on and say hi and I love you.
Well, I'm glad you did that.
You know why?
Why?
Because I love you.
Oh, you know, like
wearing your
almost
shirt.
all of, huh?
I'm wearing your favorite shirt.
Oh yeah, I do love that shirt.
Oh shit! I got a new shirt. I'm putting out.
Oh yeah, if
It,
if it's got cold skillets art on
it doesn't.
you better
It
ask
doesn't.
him. 'Cause-
It doesn't. But I sent Code Skillet and a picture of it. He never replied. It's George Floyd sweating. It says George Floyd's hot sauce. Shit's so hot you cannot breathe.
Oh, I was just saying as a courtesy. You know what I mean? Since he made it, it's just as a courtesy to be like, hey, can I use that? Which I'm sure he probably would say yes, of course. But you know how people are. That sometimes, and he didn't say this. This is me just talking to you. And I'm not complaining. It's just sometimes people like to be asked, and artists can be pretty moody about the stuff they make, you know? So I'm not saying never put anything of his on a shirt. I'm just saying, oh yeah, yeah. I'm just saying next time before you do, be like, hey man, can I put this on a shirt? We both know he'll be cool with it because
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know why he doesn't go to that t-shirt place and just start creating shit and putting it on shirts because he's really, really good.
Yeah, but if he's using my face, he's gotta get my permission.
I don't care, but I understand that. But again, if you're gonna go, if you use my face, you need my permission, then you got to go with I'm not going to use your art without your permission.
And I agree with you 100%.
Right. So that's all, and that's how you keep friendships. You just got to understand there has to be some like basic rules of respect.
Some RESPECT.
Yeah, find out what it means to me. I shouldn't like the video of the little girl singing that to her dad as much as I do.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that? It's like this little, maybe 10 or 11-year-old black girl and her dad. And this little girl just busts out with that song. I mean, she's just like, what you want? And the dad's just all like, what? He's looking at her like, hey, Shadow. He's just looking at her like, what are you doing? He has no idea what to say. And she's doing the head bob and the whole 9 yards. Oh, beautiful. Which river?
That is the Emory.
Nice. Is that like a branch of the Cumberland or what's that come off of?
It's just the Emory.
Oh, that's normal.
This goes through my town. You drove over it.
Yeah, I know. Did you know that they've caught bull sharks in the Ohio River?
Mm-hmm.
Clever zodiac sign is
Yours. Tracy's looking up a bunch of zodiac stuff.
Oh, shit. What's going on here?
So, guess who has the worst temper, Hossie? Guess which sign has the worst temper?
Aries.
How'd you know?
Uh-oh, got all the boys out. How'd he know? Well, he's the little brother of one, I guess.
And the second
Yeah.
person, Scorpio.
When did young guys start using the Garby booger cam? When he's on his way to frickin' Huntsville or wherever the hell he's going.
Kingston, Tennessee.
Kingston, Tennessee.
Yeah, on our way. We're basically there.
Well, there you go.
Here's my favorite park in the area. It's the Gravel Pit Park.
It's just a gravel pit.
No, but it's named the Gravel Pit. It's a big lake now.
Oh, dude, like the Wu-Tang.
Exactly.
Leave your wives at home. Leave your kids at home. Right? And everybody meet at the gravel pit.
Yep. It's the Gravel Pit Park, which is great because the Gravel Pit Park, every time it says like Wu-Tang.
And I'll tell you what.
Gravel Pit.
That's what I was getting ready to say. The chick they got to at least pretend she's singing the hook, I don't know if she is or not, is so hot that it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I'm generally not even into the, exotic types, but that woman's just got everything going on. That's beautiful. Yeah. I could show you next time I'm driving by the lake, I'll show you the lake. You can see all the alligators just hanging out in it. So like they got a new sign up. You know how near the pier there was all those like cattails growing?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put a sign up saying do not wade through cattails. Because I mean,
They say because we used to
all the time fishing. And then in the summer, when the water gets lower, they put signs up, no swimming, amoebas. But anywho, I will talk to you later. Shadow, the link's there.
Yep. Love you, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. So that guy who was on the channel just recently managed to be the biggest asshole ever Saturday night because he was acting like under no circumstances would he ever abandon his mammoth. So during the week, instead of doing it at the table, doing a hex crawl at the table, I did the hex crawl during the week and wrote all the notes down so that I knew exactly when and where they were going to encounter what, right? And it ended up, because it's going to take them like months to get where they were going, there was going to be a couple of pretty good adventures that I even decided, instead of doing it as random adventures, to expand them into actual like side adventures, right? And oh, that sucks, bro. Sure as shit, they found they're like, maybe we can take the mammoth on a boat. And I had them there, boy. I was like, there's not a single boat anywhere in this town that mammoth can get on. The whole town, for the most part, was nothing but like 16, 18-foot lobster boats. And I mean, row out, throw boxes over, and row back, right? Because that's what the town did. They did a lot of lobster fishing. And but there was a Amazon galleon, or not galleon, galley there. In this game, the Amazons are pretty well renowned for, selling around and going places and doing things. And so the asshole that I swore to myself would never in a million years ever give up his mammoth paid the owner of the livery and general store of the town to watch his mammoth for a year. And then they immediately cut a deal with the Amazons to just take them up to Zambala. And, the Amazons charged them a pretty penny on that one because it meant they weren't going to go to Vickland. They're going way out of their way, but they took them up there. So all of the work I did with all of those encounters, I'm going to keep it because who knows? They might end up in that area anyway, and I'll use the encounter, right? But they never seen any of it. So they landed in Zambala, went straight to the tavern, ordered some lobster soup, and got private rooms, which were pretty cheap, right? In the middle of the night, one of those private rooms, the one that Haas and two other players was sleeping in, a trap door opened up in the private room, and a bunch of people in the middle of the dark jumped out and ambushed them, and they got to this whole big melee, right? And the guys who jumped out, they had like cudgels, but they also had like ropes and manacles, and they were trying to hold the players down to tie them up. And I did see one thing that was really interesting. The scout had no weapons on him because I tell the players, you do not sleep in armor and weapons. It's just not happening. If you specifically tell me you're going to sleep in your armor, I will let you. But the whole next day, you're going to have penalties because believe me. And they do because they know I've worn actual armor, So if I tell them, look, laminar works this way, they don't question it because I could pull a laminar breastplate out and say, yeah, put that on and go out there and, no. And I'll tell you what, the worst to sleep in is actually brigandine, or as some people call it, Wisby plate. That shit, well, probably full plate, but I don't deal with that anyway. That's a sidetrack. So yeah, so they get jumped. They don't know who's jumping them except they're humanoids. They get in a fight. The scout decides he wants to use a advanced feat of strength to just try and knock a guy out, right? And I decided to let him have it. So he rolls to hit, and he rolls like 3 damage. His feat of strength is 8%. He rolls a 5%, knocks the guy he's fighting slap out. Which normally I wouldn't allow that sort of thing if it were a tough monster, but these were not tough monsters. And then eventually the Greek warrior and the Hyperborean cleric got their shit together. The Hyperborean cleric cast Hold Person, which held 3 of the 4 of them. And then they went and woke their friends up, and the Greek and the scout went through the trap door and found out the hotel had a whole like level between the floor of the second story and the roof of the first story, and that these guys were crawling between the floors. The scout noticed there were trap doors in a lot of the private rooms, And when they went to the back, they found out there was like a door in the back that led down to the ground, and there were more of these people waiting down there. Well, it turned out that these people, the 8 of them, were Eskimo. And if me saying Eskimo pisses you off, get fucked. But these Eskimos were members of a cult. They were worshipers of the deity known as Yog or Yag. And that is the deity of beasts and cannibals, right? So that was their thing. And what they were doing is they'd sent 4 guys in to try and kidnap some people to take out into the middle of the desert north of Zimbala and sacrifice them to their god and then eat them. But when the players jumped them, they got surprise on the Eskimo and basically just ran up and hacked them to bits. And I do mean to bits. At one point, the Berserker rolled like a nat 20 and hit one of them for like 5 times its actual hit points or something. So that guy just exploded into a mess. And the whole time that's going on, the ones that are held upstairs, they left alone with the cleric, right? And then like the mage runs in and the cleric has cut one of their ears off and is dancing around him with a knife, humming Stuck in the Middle with You or some shit. And I'm like, what's your alignment? He's like, neutral. And I'm like, better calm down, So anyway, of course, we had the Quentin Tarantino freaking scene in the Hyperborea game because that had to happen. And eventually they just said F it. And since none of the players in my group are good, I think maybe one of them might be chaotic good. While they were downstairs, the cleric just slit all their throats. And then they went and they kicked open the tavern keeper's bedroom door, and he heard them. So he was trying to escape through a side door. The assassin lady chucked a severed head at him and knocked him down. And then they started trying to question him, and it turned out that the members of this cult, they basically, anytime they take people from a tavern, they leave like a sack of gold. So there's at least 2 taverns in the town that are going along with this thing, right? And the people who actually run the place, they kind of turn a blind eye to it as long as the slaves are doing what the slaves are supposed to do. Hey, Timmy. So then eventually the cleric just says, screw it. 2-hand overhand hammers the innkeeper right in the top of his bald skull, spattering brain matter everywhere, and they rob him. And then they sneak out the back of the tavern and they decide to head out into the desert to see if they can actually find where these cultists are doing their thing, right? And that's kind of where we ended the game. I mean, but the reason I did all the Wandering Monster stuff ahead of time, even though things worked out the way they did, is basically because no one really has a lot of fun if you spend like 4 hours of a role-playing game just doing travel, So I wanted to be able to say, sit down and just immediately say, you guys travel for 3 weeks and, nothing really happens. Roll for, do you got food, blah, 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 instead of rolling encounters every damn hex and stuff like that. So I did it beforehand, and it would have worked out great too, had they decided to completely ignore the whole plan and just do something else. So, yeah. The way I'm running Zimbala is kind of wild, right? It's ruled by the immortal Witch Queen of Ethereum, but it's administered by like a group of merchants and rich people. Half the population are slaves, and almost all of them are Eskimo. And the ones that are members of the cult of Yag or Yog, because it can be either. They tend to like file their teeth down to points, but the people who own them really don't care because it doesn't affect them. So the thing about the city is, other than everyone in power, not the slaves necessarily, but the citizens being fearful of the witch queen showing up and just, tearing them all a new behind. Like the rich guys do not care what the slaves do when they're not working. So the fact that there is a large, group of slaves running around kidnapping people and eating them, the government of the town doesn't even care because the slaves only kidnap visitors that are staying in taverns. And then they take all of the visitors' equipment and they fence it. And that's how they get the gold to pay for the. So it's a whole thing going on here, right? And the party is in the midst of trying to figure out exactly how in the hell to deal with that. And that's what we'll be dealing with maybe next week.
Interesting.
Well, I saw you pop in and then I started yelling and you left. But I wasn't yelling at you and I wasn't yelling at any of the players. When like you popped in, you probably heard me say, go F yourself in the face.
No, actually, I thought you were in a game, so I didn't want to bother you, so I left.
Oh, well, I mean, if you had wanted to listen, you could have.
I could have, I
but
guess.
that was when the cleric was cutting the ears off of this Eskimo slave. But the slave was like, go after your own face. I ain't telling you shit.
Yeah.
And so that was a heated argument right there, too.
Fair enough. I was just like, oh, they're in a D&D game. I might want to just pop out and let them do
the
their
thing
thing.
is my brother and brother-in-law, we've started using Discord for them.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot more stable than Facebook Messenger.
Fair.
So that's why lately you've been seeing Saturday nights,
I should have thought about that.
And Haas in a chat. Yeah. So that's what you wandered into, is the group being a bunch of sociopaths and running around, basically, making me proud. And by that I mean not making me proud.
To be fair, my biggest sociopath character is no more, at least not playable.
What happened?
Last session, my character was about to be killed by the Inquisition for obvious reasons. And so I basically made a new character and used that character now. But the DM...
So you just...
Sorry, go on.
Discord is good for that. Yeah, it's all right. But let me tell you something, Shadow. I don't know if you've dealt with this, but when you've got like 2 players in Discord and then you've got like 6 players sitting at the table, as a DM, you really have to make sure you're listening to the Discord players and that they actually get to say stuff, because it is so easy for the ones that are right in your face, yelling at you, to capture your attention.
Yeah.
And then you end up completely ignoring the guys in Discord if you're not careful. So I was constantly having to tell like some of the live players, hold on, let me go back a second. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And then I'd be like, I heard you saying something, Haas or Dwayne, what were you saying? And then they would tell me, and then I'd be like, okay, So basically, it's just an organizational kind of issue you gotta keep in mind.
Yeah.
So that so that you don't end up with a game that's like that meme where you got the one little bird singing, all of a sudden the crow starts screaming its head off, and the little bird's just sitting there like. Because that's what you'll end up with. And the Discord players won't like it. So.
Well, yeah. Basically, I felt like my character was kind of at a point where it didn't really work.
Just time to let him go, huh?
Yeah.
Happens, bro.
DM didn't kill the character off, had like somebody rescue them at the end, but I felt like it was time for a different character at that point.
Yeah, happens. So, yeah, so that's kind of. I wish I was as good at telling these stories as like the Dungeon Minister, but hey, we all can't be as that charismatic. But
Or Seth Surkowski. If I was to make my own one, I'd wish I could do it as him.
well, yeah, Seth Skorkowski is absolutely, a Chad of the role playing internet. I think my brother's not a fan of him because apparently he has man tits, but I'm like, well, I kind of do too, so I can't really.
I can't really judge him on that either. I'm a bit of a fatty myself.
What's up, Satya? How you doing, brother? But yeah, so that's basically everything that happened in a nutshell. They left the mammoth with a keeper, and they took a Amazon boat up to Zimbala, and then some of them almost got kidnapped by cultists of Yog who were going to drag them out in the middle of the desert and eat them. But they managed to avoid that. So now they're in this town, and pretty much, see, right now, Shadow's probably spinning in his grave about everything I'm talking about. Or not spinning in his grave. He's not dead, but he's spinning. The thing is like everyone in this town only cares about money and themselves. So, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. See, once Shadow gets these plumbers out of his house finally, if I remember, I'm going to have to ask him. So, Shadow, what would you do if one of your players started dancing around weirdly as he cut an NPC's
Yeah,
ear
he's
off?
spinning on his vampire coffin.
Right. Like, what is your opinion on that? How do you handle that? Do you just go with it? Or do you, threaten them? I mean, how do you threaten a cleric that worships a giant bat frog alien thing from Saturn that demands human sacrifices once a year itself? So
Not even a little. Why would I?
So you would allowed it. Okay, good. So I would too. So it turns out we're on the same page on that one. Good. But yeah, as soon as he cast the hold spell and it hit the three guys, and then everybody left, and he said he asked me if he had a knife. I knew what was going to happen. I mean, I was just sitting there shaking my head, and he's like, I'm going to start dancing around the guy I tied to the chair. And I'm like, just like, here we go. Here we go. And all the other players are just sitting there like in stunned horror looking at, and like the cryomancer's like, I believe our cleric might be a psychopath. Everyone in the group is basically neutral. And in this game, as I've told you, you own the game. You know that neutral just means they're out for themselves, really.
Look, it could be worse for a cleric. I always don't like the clerics that always like choose to worship a god of death and basically want you to pray to the Reaper whenever you want healed.
I'm not even sure how gods grant magic in this game exactly. I might have to read into that.
Yeah.
Because the things they call gods aren't even really gods, most of them.
Yeah.
They're just like aliens from some other dimension or something. So it's not like normal D&D where you pray to a god and then, the god grants you spells. In this game, clerics have to have spell books. And they call cleric spells sorcery, but it's thaumaturgical sorcery as opposed to whatever the mage shit is called. So, I mean, it's pretty weird like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, the hold person spell is just OP. It's a second level spell. And when you cast it, 4 humanoid beings of up to whatever have to make a save, or they're just held for like 10 minutes or an hour or some shit. I think it's an hour, 6 turns. Yeah, Hungar read that to me and I was like, what?
Now, Shadow, what if it was part of their religion to do these things?
He wouldn't have them at his table because you don't want to hang out with people like that. No, I mean, that's what he told me. He wouldn't have them at his table because you don't want to hang out with people that do that.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't agree, but I get it. You do you know. That's your thing. But see, now most of the players at the table are just neutral adventurers looking out for each other and themselves, not really menaces. The cleric is kind of a menace because he automatically assumes that anyone who's not a member of his race is basically a subhuman scumbag. And then the Amazon is an assassin who worships Ares, but under a different name. And, you know, that religion is pretty much straight up evil, since it's all about bloodshed and, you know, all that. But the Hyperborean cleric worships the Sagwa, who is basically a fat, lazy creature that just lives underground and eats stuff if it wanders into where he lives. But otherwise doesn't really do much. And then the Berserker worships Thor, obviously. Yeah. Sounds like the player character is turning evil. No, that's the thing. That is the thing with the game, Shadow, that you and I were talking about when we were having our last little debate, whatever, is like Tasagwa is neutral. And in this game, neutral just means self-interest and nothing else. You know, a neutral player may or may not do whatever, you know. Whereas evil players, if your character is evil, then you're always going to opt for that worldview, right? But a neutral character may not mug an old lady walking across the street unless they're starving and they really need something to eat and the old lady's got a loaf of bread, in which case the neutral character might actually consider mugging the old lady. Just, you know, because they're going to do what they're going to do. Damn. Why would I condone or assist in helping folks play evil? Because it's a role-playing game. That's
Just
the
because you
reason.
play an evil character doesn't mean that you want to be evil. Could be a reason.
Like I said, no one in the group really is evil. I think, I think I lied. I think the Amazon might actually be evil. but no one else is evil, but none of them are good either. They're all neutral for the most part. And I'll tell you one thing I've been playing up big time in the game too is just the blatant racism. Yeah, I've been playing that up. Like the main people who settled Zimbala are like these gray-skinned people. And most of the vast majority of their slaves are Eskimos. So, of course, the Eskimos absolutely despise the race of the people that own them. And then when they were traveling, they traveled through Celtic-controlled lands, which meant that everywhere they went, people treated the Norse woman like a piece of crap. And she's, my wife actually came to me and she's like, everywhere we go, people treat me like crap around here. I'm like, well, the thing is that your people burnt their capital city down like 6 months ago. They're still kind of upset about that. She's like, well, how do they know I'm Norse? And I'm like, well, you're 6 foot tall. You've got long blonde hair. You're wearing a Thor's hammer pin around you. It's pretty freaking obvious, And she's like, well, damn. I said, well, people treat you different when you're not around people that you constantly raid and murder all the time. So I had to explain that. That is one thing. Now, the one guy who gets along with everybody is the Greek. Because there's a guy playing a Greek warrior in the group. He speaks like 4 languages and everybody likes him because nobody's got beef with the Greeks. Would Jesus want anyone to play an evil character ever? You got to ask yourself, would Jesus want you playing a game? And then you can go down that rabbit hole yourself. It depends if you're one of those hardcore people that, think if you sin in your thoughts, then it actually counts. And that could be true. If we're going to talk doctrine, that could actually be true. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot. I'd have to actually talk to someone who did. But yeah, if we're going to bring the Messiah into this, then you have to ask yourself, would Messiah approve of any of this? Now, my priest says yes, as long as you're not doing it to the point that it's taken over your life. And so basically, as long as you're not pulling Tom Hanks, you're probably going to be okay, but if you take a more hardcore point of view on the thing, then yeah, but the thing you have to understand is there are people, and damn it, Shadow trying to get me involved in a theological debate. It can be argued that sitting on your ass instead of going out and actually helping people is in itself not a good thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's why, things are the way they are. I mean, now, I don't want to talk anymore about it because whatever. And
Well, yeah, I want to hear about my new character.
I would much rather hear about your new character than argue about religious views on gaming.
Oh boy. Well, I basically made a mercenary swashbuckler type of character. I wanted a swordsman who could fight.
A swordsman who could fight.
Yep.
You know that every swordsman should be able to fight? That's kind of what they do, right?
Yeah, a charismatic swordsman, basically. I should have said.
Okay.
I was just kind of like looped in that one.
What game is that? Is that the Dragon Slayer game?
No, White Wolf. My Dragon Slayer, I still have my cleric.
Okay.
I got a 4 in strength, which is really good.
Yeah, 4 dots in strength. That is pretty damn good.
Yeah, 4 dots in strength. I got 3 in swordsmanship, and I took a specialty in swords and an area of expertise.
Evil thoughts lead to evil actions. I don't know. I spent most of my life thinking I'd like to smack the shit out of pretty much 90% of the people I meet. And I've only smacked the shit out of like 1 or 2%. So I would say I'm doing pretty good.
Also, I've made my stats to where I got like an 8 in HP and 6 willpower.
Nice. Yeah, I was messing around a little bit with that vampire freaking character thing. If I'm understanding it correctly, you're supposedly able to use it to actually play vampire. Like it's supposed to be like a Roll20 or something like that, but for vampire.
Hmm.
What's it called? They advertise it on freaking YouTube.
I do not know. I don't see ads.
Oh yeah, I'm the boomer that has to watch ads all the time.
I think my web browser actually has built-in ad block. I can't really do anything about it.
Well, anyway, there's something, and it's online, and you can go to it, and you can make characters and stuff. But, and I don't know if this is normal for these kind of things, right? It gives you like just enough for free that you can kind of see how it works. But if you want to actually do anything, you have to buy the books in game. And then it unlocks all the info in that book. So then you can make a character. Very short toys that look like humans. What, miniatures? Why would YouTube delete a comment on miniatures? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know
So
that one.
yeah, I forget what it's called, but it's all like dark and moody, and like you can go there and make characters, but if you want to actually make a character, you're gonna have to spend the money on like at least the rule book. And unlock it in the game so that you can then actually make a character. I mean, you know, they give you enough info to make a character, but I mean, it's super limited.
Yeah.
So that's how they get the money. They don't charge you a monthly fee, but you got to buy the books, and the books cost almost as much in this program as they do like in freaking real life, you know? Like if you were buying the actual books is what I mean. I think very expensive, but you know, maybe I'm just being cheap. Now, in other cheapness, and yes, your character sounds cool, you know, and we can keep talking about it in a second. Drive Through RPG is having like a half off sale on all of the second edition Shadowrun stuff, PDFs. So like almost all of the books on there, like $3, $4. So why I'm getting it, I have no idea, because you know, but I ended up getting a bunch of it because, and then I had to go on the high seas to actually find a PDF of the rule book, which I have a actual rule book, but considering that the Shadowrun second edition rule book runs anywhere from $60 to $250, depending on, I don't know if I'd want to actually put the physical book out on the table, you know?
That's fair.
So
Here's another thing about Shadow's problem. Would that mean that if a DM had to play an evil character for the story, would that be bad then?
you and Shadow at some point, you know what? One of these times when Shadow's doing his Shadow at Night, talking about stuff, jump in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Ask him that question. You know, you don't want any evil players, but you as the DM are playing all the evil players. So are you, in fact, worse off than they are? You know, I don't know. You two are hurting my head with this shit. You know what I'm doing? I'm just running a game. And
That's
if
fair.
they capture a freaking merchant, and the merchant's a scumbag that's been selling his gas to a cult of cannibals, and the cleric decides to smash his skull in with a fucking hammer, excuse my language, I really don't have a lot of opinions about that. You know? I narrate the fact that they all were standing around him when the cleric did that, so they all got covered in brain matter.
Look, extreme problems require extreme measures.
Right. And then we moved on with life. I mean, are the players the good guys of the story? Obviously. They're running through this cold desert trying to get, hopefully, to where the scumbags are to hopefully save them, if they're still alive, from being sacrificed and eaten, and to wipe out this cult, which is definitively evil. I mean, a cult based around eating human flesh, that is definitively an evil cult, right?
Yes.
So, in comparison, you've got one guy who looks down on every other type of human as subhumans, freaking cutting a guy's ear off and torturing him and doing a little dancing. That's kind of bad. But the guy he was doing that to literally worships a demon god and eats people. So, what's that they always say when they're trying to sound smart? Nuance.
I guess
people-
nuance.
Yeah, when people want to sound smart, they always say, there's nuance here.
Usually they'll say that though when there's not really much nuance.
I know it's one of those things, but that's why I was saying it. I was being smarmy in a way, but yeah, I mean, it's more complicated than just, it's not quite so black and white. And the reason this kind of okay, first off, as you guys see from the pictures, Shadow is my barbecue buddy, right? In our imaginations, at least, we hang out on a bench and we eat moon pies and drink RC colas. But
Now I haven't seen an RC Cola in a long time.
oh, we got them all over the place, man. But Shadow is a huge fan of Conan, and half the stuff that he's complaining about happening, or he's not complaining, that's the wrong word. He's not complaining. Half the stuff, though, that he's saying he wouldn't be necessarily comfortable with is like part and parcel to any Hyborian world adventure. I mean, under no circumstances would you ever put good on the character sheet of Conan.
No.
You would put at best neutral, maybe even evil. I don't even know, but at best Conan is neutral, because I mean, he will do just about anything up to and not including, the grapage. He's not down with that for sure, but and he's not a huge fan of slavery either, but he'll tolerate it if he's in a city where slavery is a thing. Then he will tolerate it. And this whole adventure I'm talking about actually came from a Savage Sword of Conan comic book, except instead of Eskimo slaves in the city of Zimbala, it was another city, and the slaves were from Darfur. Being a good king don't mean he's good. And like from what I've been looking at lately about Conan, even as the king, he pretty much refused to feast. He ate army rations. He slept on the floor most of the time because he refused to be soft. And he considered, like all of the other courtiers and everything, to just be soft bitches, So, and that's why when the merchants or whoever, the nobles, tried to assassinate him, because they did try to kill him multiple times, he freaking cut them to bits, because Conan, don't mess around. No, drop the chaotic, neutral at best. Yeah, see, there is no chaotic neutral in Hyperborea, and there shouldn't be in any game. It's a stupid alignment.
Yeah.
There's just neutral. You don't need to add the prefix chaos to neutral, because neutrals basically are going to do whatever they want if they need to, if it benefits them, And so, like I said, it's the idea of you're self-serving. You're basically the everyman. You're going to work. You're going to earn money. You're going to feed your family. It's all good in the hood. But if something really effed up happens, you're going to do effed up stuff because that's just how it is. Coco, what up, homie? So, yeah, Conan is at best neutral. But think about this. In Conan's homeland, the women bite down on leather straps when they give birth because making a noise during childbirth is considered weakness. And Cimmerians simply cannot tolerate weakness at all. So by the time a Cimmerian boy is old enough to walk, he's probably already been fist fighting the other Cimmerian boys, establishing, hierarchy and dominance. Part of their culture is if you want something and someone else has it, you kill them and take it. Because according to their gods, Crom especially, if you're not strong enough to keep something, you don't deserve it. And that's just what they believe. So no matter how you look at it, the Cimmerian culture is not good. It is not good. So, Conan is not good. And the whole why don't they pray to Crom thing, they kind of do, but they don't. Every Cimmerian believes that when they come out of the womb, Crom gifts them with the cunning and strength they will need to overcome any challenge. And if they fail, it's their fault, not Crom's. So they figure Crom already gave them the will. So, why worry about it? People who sneak into places and cut guards' throats and rob people and shit like that are not good under any circumstance. And Conan did a shit ton of that. Yeah, he had a code. But you know what? Neutral people can have a code too. Bastille, I hope you're doing okay up there in Minnesota. Yeah, a neutral player can have a code he lives by. Hell, a lawful evil character can have a code he lives by. Right? But we're talking about Conan. And I'm telling you what, you can say whatever you want, Shadow, about if it wasn't read by R.E. Howard specifically, then whatever. No, I'm not going with that. Right? I'm going to say everything that was printed in Savage Sword of Conan counts too. So you can call me a heretic all you want, but sorry, that's how I feel about it. So my Conan lore is like 20 times bigger than your Conan lore. Killing kobolds. There are no kobolds in Hyperborea or Hyboria, as far as I remember. Oh my God, Shadow. You know what you're doing, right? You're pulling the Reddit or Twitter bullshit. You're basically hearing my argument and saying, I'm going to need some, what's it they always say? Provide sources. It's like, just, no. I'm not providing you sources, Shadow. I told you where they're from. Savage Sword of Conan. I have every single one of them ever printed. And they count as part of the Conan lore. They damn sure do. Also, how about these books that the R.E. Howard Family Trust decided to allow these people to print? They count too. Because R.E. Howard's actual whatever okayed these books. So all the lore in the Modiphius Conan books is canon. That's canon lore. It was approved by the R.E. Howard Foundation. So there you go. So checkmate, buddy. I'm not your buddy, pal. Yeah, so I mean, saying Cimmerians are good. Next, you would say the Vanir and the Asgardians are good. The Aesir. And all those assholes do is raid each other all day. and raid the Cimmerians. And the Brythunians, they're definitely not good. I know you said that. You only go by what Howard wrote. However, Howard's whatever, the people who are in charge of what is canon or not, approved the Modiphius stuff. So you can sit there with your collection of books, which I own also, and not believe that. But if we're arguing, like, if we're trying to have some kind of legalistic argument about what counts as core or not, or as lore or not, you are just absolutely wrong, my good man. You're wrong. If the R.E. Howard whatever says that it's canon, it's canon. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's his family, and they're just deciding, you know, what to do. Of course, Modiphius did cross the line, and the R.E. Howard, see, the Robert E. Howard official license, Hyboria, printed in Lithuania, which is a weird country where there's actually like the population has like 20% more women than men or some crazy thing like that. So yeah, every one of these books here is considered canon for Conan. That's why they lost the rights, because their last couple books were just like, get out of here. And the Monolith Conan game is just not, it's like they did a Kickstarter for it, and I guess they decided if you didn't buy it during the Kickstarter, you will never have it. Unless you want to go on to like eBay and try and buy it for like $200 or $300. And I'm not doing it. So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave away for free the like starter rules, and they looked okay. Yeah, Conan is super morally gray. Like I said, the one thing he doesn't do is murder children and grape people. That's it. He doesn't do that. He actually thinks it's weak for people to do that. But he will rob your ass in a second. He will take your horse and leave you in the desert to freaking die. Like all of that shit. He, you know, if that's what he needs to do, he'll do it. He'll bang your wife while you're, I don't know, not banging your wife. Yeah, he'll totally rob you. I've mentioned the robbing a lot, but I mean, you know, there was a whole era when Conan was young where he was a thief. And Zamora and Zingara. And then there's the whole era where he just ran around murdering people at will as a pirate. Because, you know, I mean, I don't think you can call someone good if they actually exalt in taking human life. Like if they kill a bunch of people and then they're really happy about it. I don't think that that's a good thing. But that's definitely Conan. Every time he kills someone in a battle or something, he's always pretty happy about it. See, the shadow. No. See, that's where you're wrong, Shadow. The fact that it's illegal does, in fact, make it right. That's how that works. And you're saying that these guys, I mean, you're going to believe what you want to believe, brother. You're going to believe what you want to believe. You can be the purist if you want. That's fine. But in actual real life, like actual real reality, where we are right now, talking across this internet, the final arbiter of what is or is not canon for Conan is the Robert E. Howard Foundation. That's it. And I understand that might piss you off a lot. I get it, actually. I get it after Rings of Power. I totally get it. But stop trying to twist stupid stuff on me, Shadow. You're trying to make me look like a jerk off because you're upset about Conan. Really? Are you trying to get me to are you trying to put me in a position where you're going to say that I think marrying 9-year-olds is like okay? Because that's what you're trying to do, right? But the problem is that, you know, you're apples and oranges, man. Apples and oranges. I just said what I said. Robert E. Howard estate, they determine what is whatever. And yes. Coco, I'm on Shadow's side though about the John Carter movie. I loved it. I actually watch it occasionally. It's on my rotation of like the 20 movies I watch it over and over again. Just because it's legal doesn't make it right, though. See, that argument doesn't even apply. I know I said yes, legal and right. That maybe that was my fault. I'll take that back. I'll say I was wrong. I shouldn't have said, well, it's legal, so therefore, whatever, right? I should stick with basically the fact, which is the R.E. Howard Foundation determines what is and is not canon. Now, you have every right to disagree. And I have nothing bad to say if you want to disagree. You go ahead and do your thing, bro. But that doesn't change the actual reality that, yes, the Modiphius books are canon. Savage Sword of Conan, that's canon because it was all approved, you know, by the people who hold the actual rights to it. I mean, which means you can argue Rings of Power is canon too, and I would be like, well, I don't care for it, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about Rings of Power, though. Best they could do in less than 2 hours. They filmed that movie in less than 2 hours. What are you talking about? I like that movie, and I thought the chick that played the Princess of Mars, man, she was good looking. It's too bad they didn't follow the book and just have her walk around topless the whole movie, but you know, Disney. Because I think in the book that she just walked around topless the whole time. Because in their culture, they didn't even wear tops.
Well, I mean, there's probably a good reason why they couldn't do that.
Yeah. But I am going to say, Shadow, trying to trick me into saying that Islamic Sharia law is okay is kind of a low blow. And I will remind you that we're talking about a fantasy novel, not the Bible. Calm down. Right? It's Conan. You don't like Schwarzenegger Conan because he's got brown hair. And also he fights Cole's arch nemesis, not his own. I get it, but it doesn't matter. It's just badass, you know? And that's where I am on all of this. Like the Momoa Conan was bad, not because of Momoa. The Momoa Conan was bad because it sucked. It had a bad guy. It had, what's her name? Rose, whatever, McGowan in it or whatever. I mean, it's just a bad movie. It could have been good, but unfortunately it was not. Oh, the movie was only 2 hours long. Yeah, well, they were planning a trilogy, and then when it basically did not do well at the box office, they killed that trilogy idea. And the original people that pushed for that, they literally, yeah, they were wanting to like make a whole like universe, but no, Momoa was not the problem in that movie at all. The bad guy was the problem. His daughter was the problem. The plot was the problem. A bunch of idiots dragging a ship through a jungle was a problem. Go to 1256. What happens at 1256? See, I'm always a little bit leery when Shadow starts sending weird coordinates and shit, like he's trying to trick me to go to Mount Shasta and get ate by lizard folk or some shit. Yeah. It's just lucky for Shadow that I don't ever intend to do sorcery at all. Otherwise, I would find what those magic words were that make serpent people actually appear as serpent people. It like gets rid of the human illusion. And then there he would be. Yeah, I didn't either, because he was definitely supposed to be the cavalier, ex-Confederate cavalryman out there in the wilderness, just kicking ass and doing whatever. That's a modern thing, like for some reason, timestamp 1256. What, on chat? What would that be in real time, not communist time? But I overlooked it. Just they did the Tharks really well. The Green Martians, I thought they did them really well. They did. I liked them, and I thought the ships were really cool too. Yeah. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about it, really. I liked the movie. It could have been better, but they did what they could. So 1256 your time is 1556 my time. And at 1556, I just see Coco talking about what's it? Yeah, it's just Coco talking about John Carter unless something else happened that I'm unaware of. '56. Yeah, the only thing at 1556 for me is Coco talking about John Carter. Are you the 2 hours long? Oh, yeah, because I said they made it 2 hours, and yeah, that's obviously a misunderstanding on my part. I was thinking, did they? I don't know. I mean, I would have believed you if you'd said yes. So when a man loves a woman, I don't know what he does, but he'll do it. Anyway.
So yeah, another thing, James, I decided to also pick up a little bit of brawling skill on my character and grappling.
I would think that as a fighter, yeah, knowing how to handle yourself in a fist fight would kind of be prerequisite. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to take melee, but and depending on how they run the game you're playing, you might even specialize in some specific weapon.
Yep, like I said, swords. I specialize in swords.
Yeah, well, there's a reason they're one of the most common weapons.
Yep.
I mean, the most common weapon is spears, though.
True. But
Across pretty much every culture, spears have always been like the primary weapon for the longest time.
I had the idea from all the swashbuckler type of characters. Like, think of the Three Musketeers or Zorro, maybe.
Yeah, rapier, gauche, or whatever it's called.
I'm taking an arming sword, but yeah.
I'm sure I wrecked that, but
I picked
all
up
right,
like
Shadow.
but
You
yeah.
said when a man writes something or a writer writes something, and then you didn't say anything else, unless something's going wrong with my computer.
Yeah, I don't see anything else either. Chat could have messed up though.
So I'm painting up some serpent men. Look at these guys. They're coming right along, right? They're going to need their shades, but that's right. They'll be hiding out underground.
Isn't that what happens to everything though, Shadow? I mean, look at Disney. May not like it, but it happens a lot.
I mean, I kind of get the sentiment. What's up, George? But the thing is, like, look at Tolkien. He died. He left his estate in the hands of his grandchildren. His grandchildren decided to sell the movie rights to make all that stupid bullshit they made. But you have to ask yourself, Tolkien looking down from heaven, is he mad that his grandchildren made billions of dollars, off of the stuff he wrote? Probably not. Yeah, he's probably not. He's probably like, well, Rings of Power sucks balls, but at least my grandkids are rich. So there you go. I mean, yeah. And Robert E. Howard, another thing I think that if we're going to talk about Conan, everyone has to get through their heads is that Conan existed within a shared universe. So technically, pretty much anyone can write a Conan story. And that would be according to R.E. Howard himself. And if you wrote a story about any character set in the Hyborian age, in Stygia or whatever, it would still be as canon as anything else, according to Robert E. Howard himself. Because, as I said, Conan was a shared universe. When he was alive, it was a shared universe. No integrity. Writers write books to make money mostly, right? I mean, so I the argument is like weird because it's like, I'll tell you what, if I ever wrote like a fantasy book and somebody came to me and was like, I'll give you, $1 billion for the rights to your book, but I'm going to gender swap and race swap everyone and make them gay, I'd take the money in a second. Stygian, the best, right? Yeah, I'd take the money. And if that makes me a man of no principle, I wouldn't care because, I'm not trying to start a religion. I'm not writing Dianetics. I'm writing a book about freaking elves or something. And in my opinion, it is simply not that important and worth worrying about. If you don't like it, just don't read it. That's pretty much my answer to a lot of things, Like Rings of Power don't piss me off because I never watched a single episode.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. I never watch it either.
Never watched any of it, so I'm not pissed at all. Not bothered.
You know what? The Star Wars sequels that Disney made doesn't bother me at all because I don't have to watch it.
True. I watched one
I watched
and
a
it
couple
pissed
and
me
it was
off pretty bad. So then I never watched any other ones.
Yeah, I should have stopped at the first one too.
And the only reason I watched it is because the guy that I respect his opinion told me I should watch it, that it was really good, and that people who were saying it wasn't good were just lying.
Yeah, you're just like, well, maybe I shouldn't have listened to him now. That was a bad idea.
That's what I told him. So me and my wife went out on a date night to watch this movie. The movie's going on, and we're both just sitting there looking at each other like, what in the F is this? This is the worst, you know? Like, if we didn't have a large popcorn and a drink, we probably would have got up and walked out. But, you know, we already had the popcorn, so screw it. But yeah, it was the worst.
Well,
It
to be
was
fair,
the
you could have
worst.
just taken the popcorn with you.
And yes, I understand when people get pissed off at how they did Star Wars. I understand it. I just don't take it so personally.
I know one person who did. That was the creator.
Wheel of Time. A lot of people don't know this, but back around 90 something, it might have been even a little earlier during the third edition period, there was a Wheel of Time role playing game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was a big hardbound book. And it did one of the coolest things any game ever did, which is as you leveled, you become harder to hit. So like a fighter, as it leveled, he would get +1 to attack, but he'd also get +1 to defense, which was made up of armor class, your level, and your dex. So I thought that was the neatest idea. And what you ended up with was like a 12th level fighter could pretty much be buck ass naked and roll up on a bunch of first level fighters and just whip their asses because they couldn't even hit him hardly, you know? So
Talk about Wheel of Time. I'd never heard of that until I joined a clan in a game that was named after it.
Shadow, I think you're missing the point of what a shared universe means, my good man. And arguing with me all day like this, as you have, it has only led me to one conclusion. It's a damn good thing you're so pretty. Because I don't think you're going to get by on your intellect, sir. But like I said, you don't. When you look like you do, I guess you don't have to. You can just, get by on looks. See, I wouldn't know about that.
Me neither.
Yeah, I gotta actually. And I hope I know he understands. I'm just BSing around with him, but still. Yeah, Conan was conceived actually to be part of a shared universe. Pretty much. When you consider how much that circle of writers were just freaking switching and swapping and going back and forth with each other. Like, I mean, in Conan, the Saga is a god. The Saga was invented by Clark Ashton Smith. In Conan, there's Deep Ones. Deep Ones were created by H.P. Lovecraft. But then Conan created shit that Lovecraft took. As a matter of fact, there's an artifact Conan created in the Cole books, the Ring of Power, and it ends up showing up like 5 or 6 different times in different books. I think Thulsa Doom was the first person to have the Ring of Power, and it went a different. No, now you're trying to act like your opinion is superior. Your opinion is just your opinion, man.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, to quote, the dude, that's just like your opinion, man.
I mean, a lot of writers even get ideas off of each other all the time. Does that make them plagiarists or anything? I mean,
Well, that's why I'm saying Conan came from a shared universe, because Howard was in constant communication with Lovecraft and Clark Ashton Smith.
a lot of
And I
anime
believe
creators were like that too.
Derleth was involved. There were like a lot of writers involved.
A lot of manga writers are like that too.
Yeah.
They all shared
so-
ideas.
So the Hyborian Age and the Acheronian Age and the Atlantean Age, all these ages that R.E. Howard came up with, probably with help from H.P. Lovecraft,
Yeah.
They're all shared between all of these writers. So getting a little way about, stuff that comes out later is like, like I read stories that were written by Derleth and other people that are set in the mythos. And it doesn't bother me because H.P. Lovecraft practically begged people to write stories in his universe. And Conan is in H.P. Lovecraft's universe.
You do
Or
see a
vice
lot of
versa.
yeah, you see a
Or
lot of
vice versa.
H.P. Lovecraft stuff in the Conan universe.
Right. So, I mean, as I said, you can do whatever you want to do. You can believe what you want. But the starting premise of R.E. Howard's stuff is sacrosanct and cannot be messed with, falls on its face when you consider that that's what he wanted people to do. Yeah, but that's just because George R.R. Martin is a scumbag and has no originality at all. I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire is basically the War of the Roses, and then throw in some weird shit because. And have a bunch of incest and underage sex and stuff like that because R.E. Howard's a creep. Like sometimes I wonder if R.E. Howard's allowed to get within a certain distance of like schools and stuff. Because if he is, they need to make it where he can. Because that guy has some problems that I don't care for. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. But you are right, George. The drowned god is Cthulhu. There are deep ones, and they know for a fact there are deep ones. They talk about them. There's like tons of shit in there that was lifted directly from the Cthulhu mythos. And the issue is you can't bitch about it because it's what Lovecraft wanted you to do. He created that whole mythos and that whole freaking world, timeline, history, whatever, along with all the other people involved. And it was always meant for anyone that wanted to write whatever they want to in that universe. And then you could pick, like Chinese buffet. You take what you want, leave the rest. I love that movie. Oh, and in the newest memes, by the way, Shadow, you and I are in Eastern Kentucky hunting cultists, apparently. And it's made to look like it could be the cover of an adventure. It's Shadow and I with shotguns creeping through the woods in Kentucky looking for evil cult people. I thought that was good. I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I'd be pretty like questioning if somebody made like, John Carter totally different than John Carter is, and all of the stories or one of, because Lovecraft does have a few reoccurring characters that just show up, quite a bit. So I get it. You're basically saying that just because it's shared universe doesn't mean that you have the right to change Conan himself. And I kind of agree with you there, really. I mean, I love the Conan movies, but I have always wondered why they just didn't put a black wig on him, because he's wearing a wig anyway. So why not just throw a black wig on him? Whatever. So okay, I will concede that point a little bit, right? But when we talk about the history of things within the world, whatever has not been clearly defined can be defined later in a shared universe. So the thing I said about Sumerian women being such tough asses and the Sumerian children basically grown up like the Kurgan in real life and having to fight for everything, and the weak die, the strong live, all of that, right? Well, since Howard never said either way about it, the people who did add that stuff to the shared universe are legit. It's legit. It doesn't change Conan. It just describes why Conan is Conan, because Sumeria is so harsh and no F's given. They're not inviting everybody over for Thanksgiving dinner in Sumeria. They might come to your house and steal your turkey, though. So, yeah. All right, look at that. We got a little bit of consensus here. A little bit of consensus with Shadow. I'll take it. I mean, if you say that, the way you said that, yeah. I mean, that's a no-brainer, You're not, see, what I was arguing about is like,
Oh, well.
those comic books, Conan is Conan. Oh. Am I back?
Yeah, seems like you're back.
Okay. So when you read the Savage Swords, Conan is a black-haired, blue-eyed, tanned, muscular man. I mean, it's always Conan. So yeah, they don't actually change the main character. They just have the main character do other shit that maybe Howard didn't write about. But he did give kind of tacit approval for anyone else to write about. Like if I wanted to sit down and write a Conan story, actually now I think you might get caught by copyright because of the R.E. Howard Foundation. But Howard would say, go ahead. Or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe Howard would say, you can set the story in Hyboria, but you can't use Conan because he's mine. So then I'd have to create another character that lives in Hyboria from somewhere and have my own adventure there,
Which could be cool.
Which would be the same thing as when I ran 2-20 Conan.
Yeah.
It'd be the same thing. And that, okay. So the compromise to me here, Shadow, is you should actually really like the Savage Sword of Conan comics, because Conan is Conan as Howard wrote him, and they don't change it. He's Conan. He does Conan shit. He gets into Conan shenanigans. And it's just a matter of adventures that maybe someone else didn't write, or that Howard didn't write, but someone else did, But it's still Conan, unchanged. Not gay, not wearing like a rainbow wig, not, a strong black woman. It's Conan. So, yeah, I get your point now a lot better. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't think it's kind of silly, because I do think it's kind of silly. I don't care that much about it. How you doing, Daniel? But but at least I understand where you're coming from now. So that's something, right? We've made a breakthrough, I feel like, Shadow. We've made a breakthrough. I now understand. So George and Daniel and everyone who I said hi to but never said anything else to, how you guys doing? Okay. In case you're wondering what me and Shadow are talking about, we are debating the lore of Conan. What is and is not canon. Yeah, that's why I said I don't know if Howard would like let anyone write about Conan, but he damn sure would let anybody write about somebody adventuring through Hyboria. You know what I mean? Because the Hyborian Age is part of Lovecraft, Clark Ashton Smith, Darlith. I mean, there's a ton of people in which that world exists, right? Like there's an H.P. Lovecraft story where they are digging around somewhere and they find a relic that allows them to see serpent men. And they even say that the relic is from like the Hyborian Age or some shit. So, I mean, yeah. Player death. Okay, George, were you playing or were you running? Not always, Shadow. Sometimes writers are actually awesome and they respect the lore. Like when Jordan wrote a Conan novel, it was good. He respected the material and everything. But then, sometimes they hire a room full of purple-haired maniacs and then they just destroy everything. Dinner, whatever you want to call it. I know supper is a lighter. I don't know. I think up in Kentucky, my grandparents always called it supper.
Yeah, supper is probably more common. I like calling it dinner, but yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, I seem to remember mostly when I was a kid them being like, "Come get your supper."
Yep.
Come on, kids. It's time to eat. Supper's done.
I
But,
see them
I
almost
mean-
interchangeable to me, though. It's like only use either
I
one,
think
really.
they are. I wonder if we looked up if supper is like an old English word and dinner is like a newer word, and just because they were in the freaking hills, out there kind of isolated, they just used, the older word. You know what I mean? Kind of like that movie Songcatcher.
Okay, well, actually, dinners traditionally refer to the main, largest meal of the day, historically eaten midday.
So what they
Supper,
call
by
dinner,
contrast,
we would
lighter,
call
informal.
lunch.
Yeah, it's a lighter, informal evening meal, often simple paste like soup or leftovers.
So we're screwing it all up. We're calling dinner lunch and we're calling supper dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for looking that up. That solves that. And yeah, that movie, The Songcatcher, was like a true story. She went way up into the mountains in North Carolina, and the people there were still speaking a dialect of English like had been spoken under Queen Elizabeth, because there'd been very little drift with the language. It hadn't modernized. It just stayed that way. And they were singing songs that hadn't been sang since the Elizabethan era. You know what I mean? And she went up there to write down, the songs and stuff. And yeah, it was like this whole community way up in the mountains, and they had just kept speaking like they spoke when they showed up. Xeno, screw those Xenos. Unless you're saying like the Greek. He is exino. Exino, which basically means anyone that's not Greek. And I only know that because one of my favorite movies is My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Because, as hardcore as I may seem sometimes when I'm carrying on, deep down inside, I'm a softie. And I like rom-coms quite a bit. And I watch them with my wife sometimes. But they got to be good. They can't be like that ABBA one, because that drives me nuts. I can't watch that. Because everyone in there is a whore. What's the name of what is that show called? Mamma Mia. If you watch Mamma Mia, I cannot watch it because I'm too judgmental. And it's like, so that whore slept with 5 men, has no idea who her kid belongs to, never told her anything, and she's running around at 17, 18, sleeping around with this other guy, and all of her friends are whores, and literally everyone on that little Greek island's just a bunch of whores. So can I watch that movie? No. Because I'm just going to sit there and say, what a bunch of fucking whores. Like, these are the worst people ever. If I was that little girl's dad, I'd be so pissed off that she never told me. 18 years never told me. Right? But then you look at My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and the main character, Tula, is a virgin until she actually sleeps with the guy that she marries. And Gus, whose actual name is Constantine, her dad, basically the same. And until he married the wife. I mean, everyone in that movie is decent people. They're not out there being fucking douche nozzles, right? Yeah, Mamma Mia is horrible.
There was another one I heard that was pretty bad too. It was like a woman who fell in love with a guy, then I guess they drifted apart or something. I forgot what happened exactly, or I can't remember. But she then went and was about to marry another guy, and then the guy that she previously came back, and she got entangled with him again. I'm like, well, she's just a bad person for doing that.
Yeah, she's just bad. There is, I forget who put it out, but I watched a YouTube video, and I'm wondering if you watched the same one, where it was talking about how all these women have this weird fantasy of, like, when you read the woman's book, they finally meet a nice guy, but then the toxic guy that broke their heart shows up in the rain, and they immediately.
Yeah, I think I've seen that video too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck are these women thinking? And then there's another one, and this was an actual scientific research thing, where they're like, women fantasies all involve having sex with monsters. So the Morning Glory milk farm bullshit, yeah, that's a real thing. And a lot of women have those weird fantasies about being having
really
sex
weird.
with werewolves and minotaurs and vampires and weird ass shit.
Yeah, James. I wonder how these women would react if you made a movie of that story that I just told you, but make a man instead of a woman. How they would feel about that. I don't think it'd be such a great.
You mean a movie where the guy meets a really nice girl and they're getting together, but then his evil whore of an ex shows up and he leaves the nice girl?
Yeah, kind of. I was thinking of him.
If
just
you made that movie, every woman who watched that movie would be like, "That guy's such an asshole. I hope he burns in hell."
Yeah.
And yet, that's the freaking main plot of almost every freaking female romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Gus's real name is Constantine Portoculus, which is orange, but not the fruit or something. Or the fruit, not the color. Yeah, that's it. Constantine's super common. I have a great uncle, according to my ancestry bullshit, whose name was Constantine. So, yeah, we're not going to get into that, PB. I promise you. I was just pointing out because Leth had brought up something, and then I brought up like this research they had done with actual women and a really large test group from a university that was showing how they're all attracted to monsters and stuff. They're not actually attracted to human males mostly in their fantasies and stuff. It's really weird. It's like, huh. But, whatever. Whatever.
Back to the
Here in a
historical
little
stuff.
bit. These guys are soaked just about when I get done here in about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to empty those guys out. I've been stirring them up a lot in some soapy water because they're Reaper miniatures. And if you don't,
Yeah, but talking about the historical stuff, I found out that one of my ancestors was actually the sword bearer for Richard III.
yeah. I'm pretty sure one of my ancestors was Alexander the Great's eunuch. That's a joke from Red Dwarf. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody famous in my family for anything good. Like all the people in my family who are famous for stuff, it's the stuff that sent them to prison or got them executed. I mean, how I turned out how I am, being a patriot, going to war, being a fireman and all that. When I come from a family of freaking criminals and scumbags going all the way back, you know what I mean? It's like, I guess something just must have clicked for me, because, yeah, being a douchebag runs in one side of my family. It runs hardcore. Oh, did I ever post that the most Russian man in the world? I'll take that as a no, Leth. Yeah, there's one thing in there where it shows him jumping off a building into like a pool with ice on top. And it's like no male member of his family has survived past 35. He smokes in the shower because it's more efficient. He was born wearing Adidas tracksuit. He'll be buried wearing an Adidas tracksuit. Yeah. It's weird that you bring that up because last night that was the movie my wife picked to put on when we went to bed because she can't fall asleep without a movie on. And then she falls asleep 5 minutes into the movie. And by then I'm already interested. So I watch it. And then she wonders why I'm tired all the time. John Constantine. Supposedly they're making another movie. I've seen some of the stills for it. And Keanu Reeves dyes his hair blonde. So it's more realistic to the Hellraiser comics. But yeah.
Well, I gotta get off here. Food's done.
Well, go have your food then.
I'll see you.
See you, bro. If you figure though, guys, of course Constantine would be a common name. I mean, he was like an emperor. At least one emperor was named Constantine. And they named a city after him, and I believe he's a saint. So yeah, that's going to be a common name with Greeks, especially. Anyone who lives anywhere near Constantinople is going to have a good shot at being named Constantine. And I know a lot of Russians are named Constantine as well. For the same reason, I would guess, because of all the Varangians going south and doing their thing. I'm going to throw a bunch of random figures in this box and send it to Cold Iron Skillet as kind of as a thank you for being cool. So, but yep, we watched Constantine. And then my wife went to sleep, and I turned on Legends of the Void or something. And it was a 2-hour story about a Imperial Guard regiment falling to Slanesh, like how it happened and how it ended up and everything. Because that channel, I mean, I don't think any of the lore on it is like canon according to like Games Workshop, but I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. So when they do their, you know, life on a chaos warship, or, you know, life under the Slaneshi cult, whatever. They've got one I watched that was like life as a member of a Gene Stiller cult. And they're I think they're absolutely awesome. So I really don't care what Games Workshop thinks about it. Really. And yes, like I said, I still need to post a video of my top 10 albums and songs. I've got them written down, but I need to either hit the print button or bring the other computer in here where they're written down, or do it on the other computer but with no camera. I might opt for the third option just because it's easy and lazy, you know. But yeah. And yeah, sometimes the wife does get aggravated with me though, because she'll put a movie on and go to sleep. And then after she goes to sleep, I'll put in like some long ass Lovecraftian lore video. And then she spends all freaking night subconsciously listening to H.P. Lovecraft. She is not a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, you know, because it's such a dark. Well, I decided, Shadow, I was going to do top 10 albums, which I already got, and top 10 songs. And like I was saying, just because an album is a top 10 album does not mean that necessarily there'll be a song from it in the top 10. Because like Artemis, I would never put Artemis as a top 10 album, but his song I Like the Way You Kiss Me is 100% one of my top 10 favorite songs. So, you know, so there's that. Like I probably would never put Under the Milky Way by The Church, that whatever album that come off of, but the song may make the top 10. And In Excess, I didn't put In Excess as a top 10 album, but Never Tear Us Apart is definitely a top 10 song. So, you know, so that's kind of how I looked at it, you know. All of my top 10 albums are albums that were just straight bangers, you know. So, of course, everybody already knows The Cars is on there. The one with the chick behind the wheel. I forget if it was just called The Cars or whatever. I mean, that song has like Just What I Needed. You know, You're All I Need Tonight or whatever. I mean, that's an album I used to have on vinyl that I could just put on the radio on my turntable and just like leave it, walk away, because every song was going to be badass. And then, of course, Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedo, that made the list. I mean, another one. Some of you probably are going to be a little surprised by this, but Randy Travis, Storms of Life, is a top 10 album for me. And that's the one that had like Digging Up Bones and freaking Told You So. I mean, it's just such a great album. And plus he saved country music from all the scumbags too. So, right. Because country was getting to be nothing but just pop with a southern twang to it. Then Randy Travis came out, was like, let's do some real country music. And he did too. Better Class of Losers, I think, is on there. Yeah, yeah, and he's like, what's he say? I put my wedding ring on and I gave yours a fling. Sitting here alone in this used to be happy home. Tonight I sat alone digging up bones. I'm digging up bones. I'm digging up bones. I also got Dwight Yoakam on my top 10. I think it's Guitars and Cadillacs. Guitars and Cadillacs, hillbilly music. Hell yeah. So, those of you who didn't know, you've learned a valuable or not valuable bit of information about me. I like country music. I just like a specific kind of country music. It's kind of like I don't like contemporary Christian music whatsoever, but sometimes I'll listen to like Byzantine Orthodox chants for hours, you know, because the problem with contemporary, and South Park did a video on it, and they're right. Contemporary Christian music, if you remove Christ and insert the name of a woman, it's a weird love song. And I just can't get behind that shit. It seems almost sacrilegious in a way, you know. I love you, Jesus. I want to feel your power all over my face. It's like, wait, what? No. Cake is on mine, self-titled, because the self-titled Cake album, freaking bangers from the beginning to end. Long Jacket, Short Skirt, Never There, I Will Survive, Going the Distance. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but I'm just saying that album was just like bam, bam, bam. I mean, just nonstop. Plus, I think Cake's bass player is like so underrated. That guy was a great bass player. They were an interesting band, you know. Just everything they did was kind of different than what everyone else was doing, you know. They're out here with like all these different instruments and a brass, a guy playing like trumpet or something, and you know, and a guy with like dead flat monotone delivery. It's like, you know, these guys were all like sitting around in the garage and said, what if we start a band? And when I sang in the most flat monotone way possible. But then you guys just groove out, like not rock and roll. I mean, I want you guys to just groove out, get funky with it. Throw some horn sections in, some whatever, you know, make sure every song's got like a kicking bass line. And I'll just sit there and basically talk over everything. And the other guys in the band were like, yeah, that sounds pretty good, man. Let's do that. You know? All right. This has been a pretty fun stream for me. And I have really, this has been a fun stream for me. One, I've been getting stuff painted, and that's always good. Two, my bro Leth was on, and we were talking gaming and stuff. Sorry, PB, you missed the game talk. Three, just the whole conversation with Shadow was an interesting conversation. And it ended with me understanding at least a little bit of where he's coming from, even though that doesn't mean I necessarily 100% agree with everything he said. But at least now I understand like exactly what the beef is there. And that's good. Anytime you can, talk to somebody and get a little understanding about how they feel about things, that is a good day, I would say, And I agree with him. If you want to write a Conan story, write a Conan story. But don't jerk around with Conan. Conan is Conan. Conan has to be Conan in every story. You can't make him blonde. You can't make him into like little boys. You can't make him. It's Conan doing something. Worry about what he's doing, not about who he is, because we already know who he is. And I would say that's how every character should be treated, especially the shared universe characters, Like Randolph Carter, the Reanimator or whatever. Yeah. He's got to be who he is. You can't just make him someone else. Top 10 musicians, I would not even want to jump in on that. Also, another one, I guess I'll spoil it a little bit for you guys. Elvis is definitely, I could have did a top 10 album list and 6 of them be Elvis. So I only did one, and I forget the name of it, but it's got, of course it's Elvis. So every song is great. And it's the one with the Cold Kentucky Rain and all that, so. And I think the reason I like that album so much is specifically the song Cold Kentucky Rain. Because as you guys all know, I am a weirdo with a weird infatuation for the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. Maybe because I just grew up there and think it's the greatest bit of land on the entire planet, And I'm pretty shameless about that. You guys all understand. That's why I kind of make fun of other states, because they're not Kentucky. So anyway, yeah. Interestingly, there were no Beatles albums on my top 10. Not one. No Beatles, no Stones. I regretted having to drop Gin Blossoms, even though their first album or second album, whichever one it was, I listened to all the damn time. The one that has Found Out About You and everything like that on it. Maybe, I found out about you. Found out about you. Yeah, I love that song. So, top 10 TV miniseries. See, I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I know MASH would be on it. I mean, come on, You can't even make a top 10 movie TV series without MASH. If you do, then you're automatically wrong, and everything else you ever say is wrong. I'm not saying it has to be number one, but it's got to be in consideration. It's got to be in the thing. Like if I were to pick favorite series, like the ones I watched all the time, MASH, Dukes of Hazzard, Tour of Duty, Battlestar Galactica, WKRP in Cincinnati. Damn it. How can I forget this? That the show was named after the guy, and he was like a therapist in Chicago. Not Dick Van Dyke. Damn it, what is his name? He's a short little bald guy, and he played a therapist like in Chicago. And the show was literally named after him. It was the whatever this guy's name is show. One of you knows. It don't matter that much though. Definitely a series that I would have on the top 10 would be the miniseries, and the British show where the comedian runs around all the time being chased and they play the funny music. Bob Newhart, that's the one. I watched Bob Newhart every freaking evening with my grandparents. I mean, but we only had like 3 channels. So there was that whole period like in the mid 80s where you had the syndicated shows that played, you know, and it was like you had Bob Newhart and Mary Tyler Moore, you know, Benny Hill, miniseries like Roots or The Bastard. Well, the number 1 miniseries of all time is Berserk. Does that count as a miniseries? I don't know if that counts as a miniseries, but it is the miniseries that I would 100% put at number 1, definitively number 1. And I love Conan with all of my heart, except for my pee-pee, but every other part of me. However, Guts is a damn almost might beat Conan, or is tied, or is just barely behind Conan. Now that is a debate to have. Conan or Guts? Who is the bigger badass? Well, obviously, I mean, Guts is the bigger badass. I mean, Guts is the dude that soloed 100 guys, you know, but still, I mean, yeah. And I don't even like anime, but Berserk is just so. I don't think it was ever on TV. I think I know that it's on Crunchyroll, and you can also watch it on YouTube. And you shouldn't watch it with your kids unless they're older and you don't mind, you know, scarring them mentally for the rest of their lives. Yeah. But as far as a story arc and a character and like all of that, Guts is like, he has like the best story arc. Like, you know, his character arcs are amazing. You see him, well, grow, kind of, you know, and a lot of the supporting characters are really cool too. And a lot of the bad guys are really cool, which, you know, that's actually a thing, you know. He's got a lot of really cool villains he's fighting against. And the story is just so intricate and it's just really, really good. So, you know, I'm done blubbering over Berserk. If you've seen it, you already know. And if you haven't seen it, well, it's really dark. So I will give you that warning. It is really dark, but it's also really worth watching. And that is going to be the end of me for today. For this day, I am going to wrap things up. I'm trying to keep these things under a couple hours because my computer seems to handle 2 hours okay. But if I go to much more than 2 hours, my computer decides to flip the hell out and, you know, be weird. And I don't care for that. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and let it slide. So that means goodbye to everyone. Or actually not really goodbye, more like see you later. See you later, alligator. Dun, 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 dun. After a while, crocodile. Dun, 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 dun. If you're a Red Dwarf fan, you'll understand that. But reaching for the button, gonna push that button. I'm going to the city or the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. Yeah. Peaches come from a can. They were put there by a man in a factory downtown.